Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show, training our horses and miniature cows in ranch versatility. Penning Rusty and Susie, our bull and heifer. Roping Rusty with Morgan horse, Semi. Training Eve to drive cart. Training Eve to work over her haunches with a motor cow simulator. Training Eve to lay down. Training Eve to harness, pull a log. Training Semi to harness, pull a log on turf. Jumping at liberty to music, making our Morgan horses our partners. Training Eve on a cow roping simulator. Training on our driveway, which is covered by sand, so we have a straight track. Stepping over poles, jumping over crossbar jumps. Training in our trail obstacles area. Semi on the big steps. Morgan horse Sadie doing obstacles rainlessly. Sadie learns to pull a cart. Mini Zebu heifer Susie being trained to drive a cart. Bull Rusty learning to pull a harrow. Due to a lameness issue, Semi gets x-rays of right rear and left front on Wednesday, October 8th, 08. There has been swelling in the right rear pastern since Sunday. For educational reasons, we show you here how we diagnose and trim.
Our x-rayed Semi's left front, we put Play-Doh in the hoof, and as you can see, we also have the nail with duct tape on the front of her hoof to give us an idea if there's any rotation of the coffin bone. We also did her left rear, her right rear. And the reason is because we've noticed since Sunday that there's a swelling there. And let me show you closer what it looks like today. Which is October 8th. Her right rear, there at the ankle, is noticeably swollen in comparison to the ankle on the left rear. It is particularly swollen. I'm going to walk up to her, point to where the swelling is, right here. All the way around. On Sunday, when I cleaned out her hoof, I noticed, I always try to clean out my horse's hoof practically every day. I noticed a scrape, yes, a scrape on the right rear. You can see it here on the camera, but I'm going to walk up now and point to it so there's no question what I'm talking about. All right, the scrape is right here, almost the length of my middle finger. That scrape has not shown any weeping. I didn't even put a topical on it. But I'm wondering if at the same time that she got that scrape, if there was some damage done to the pastern area. There is one other hypothesis here that I'm hoping to rule out when my trimmer, Lawrence Hurst, comes in a few days, and that is there could be an abscess in that right rear that's working its way up from the hoof into the pastern area. And that in fact all along the problem we were having with the left front may have been in fact being caused by some kind of discomfort in the right rear. Even though we talked to the vet, had the vet out, had her block the left front, and she felt that from the results of the blocking, the problem was in the left front pastern area. In fact, perhaps because the only reason that we even saw any kind of lameness was when we were going in a counterclockwise small circle. Perhaps it was the right rear that was causing discomfort, and thus it appeared to be the left front. This is how evasive sometimes these problems can be, how difficult they are to diagnose. And so I'm taking video clips whenever I can. It's been probably about 5 weeks since Semi first showed some left front, what we thought was left front favoring. She's anxious now to go back to her herd mates in the pasture. By the way, when she grazes, when she walks, when she leads, everything is fine. Now the only thing that is concerning us is the swelling and the circles, small lunge circles in counterclockwise direction, which in fact we haven't done in the last week or so because we didn't want to exacerbate the swelling.
I think that's from the smell of the Play-Doh.
We think that she is, Semi is doing that because she smells the Play-Doh, which we put in her left front. The reason being, when we last x-rayed her, there was a little black line at the bottom of her hoof, and the vet suggested that if we put Play-Doh, we can rule out, I guess, air pockets or something of that sort. So we got some Play-Doh from Toys R Us, and that's what we used today.
Semi is trimmed 40 days after the lameness was first noticed.
All right, Lawrence is here now, and he's going to watch Semi go in the counterclockwise direction, and then we'll show you clockwise that we see no favoring. Not bad though, huh? Not as bad as last time, I think. But you can see it right now, right? Okay, now go the other direction, Rosie. Let's see if we can get her to do it in the other direction or not do it. We're just making a chronicle of Semi's lameness that is apparently related to her left front pastern after considerable diagnostic procedures, vet opinion, etc. It's been, probably about 3-4 weeks since the lameness was first detected, and Semi has been pretty much allowed to just graze and live in her large corrals without request for any kind of performance. This is clockwise. You see it a little there too? Yeah, now we do see it a little there too. So then the question is, Lawrence, could you go on in there while I have this camera set up? And you haven't seen her right rear swelling. You've seen it on video.
I think it's pretty much gone now.
And we think it's gone. I was beginning to think that the right rear swelling was related to the left front favoring, but the two issues, which occurred a couple weeks apart from each other, may be totally unrelated. As soon as I saw the swelling, I videoed it and sent it by email to Lawrence, and he gave me his opinion. He's checking her out right now for heat, swelling. We'll get Lawrence's opinion when he gets closer here to the camera, and then we're going to go and trim Semi.
Yeah, the whole. That was all really. And then it went down, and it went down to my scalp.
Rosie is describing what the swelling looked like close up. Sometimes it's hard, even with zoom on camera, to get the full representation by video. Yeah, and Semi had a scrape on that same leg. No, on the other leg. No, excuse me, on the same leg. So we thought maybe the swelling was her hitting herself and scraping herself. But the scrape is essentially gone now. So we'll see what Lawrence has to say in a moment. Lawrence, could you come tell the camera so that it's part of the chronicle?
For that scrape on the inside of the opposite hind, since she was already lame on her front, obviously you didn't have her out in the woods where a branch could have done that or anything. So odds are she scraped her own leg with her opposite hoof.
Yes.
Which is a pretty good whack, and that could cause some
yes,
trouble.
right.
Although just feeling her feet right now, that hoof is warm.
It's warm.
Is warm.
Okay, so that's the right rear. You feel that's warm.
Yeah.
Which means what to you?
Just compare. Well, usually something is irritated in the hoof. Just comparing it to the other one, all I'm doing is putting my hands on there. The other one feels cold. Both fronts and this one feel warm. Both fronts are lame, and you had some swelling in the hind. So.
Do you feel that this could be an abscess somewhere in one of the hoofs?
I wouldn't think an abscess at this point, because usually within 2 weeks, she wouldn't hardly be able to walk on it.
Okay.
Usually they get to the point where they just have their toe down and they won't put weight on.
Okay, now my biggest concern, of course, Lawrence, especially from my experience, is unequal weight bearing and causing ultimately laminitis. So I'm going to show you in a moment when we go back to the tie post, the x-rays we took a few days ago.
Okay.
Okay, now Lawrence is looking at the x-ray of the left front, which is a new x-ray from just a couple days ago, and we have prior x-rays. Do you see any problem in that x-ray as far as laminitis beginning to form?
Certainly no rotation. This one's slightly overexposed, so you can't really see like the side of the bone, but you can see the line coming down where you put the nail so that you have a good sense of where it is, and there's absolutely no rotation there.
Okay, can you move your hand for a minute? Let's see if I can get that on camera so people understand what we're talking about. From the nail to the coffin bone, it looks relatively
parallel. Yeah, you want
parallel.
the same distance in here. It shows the bone has not dropped this way.
Okay, all right. So that's just for documentation of a prior awareness of a problem.
Taken the same day?
This is taken the same day, but now this is the right rear, the swelling we were just talking about. And we see no bone problem there. We just weren't sure if we'd see a chip, or maybe if there were an abscess, we'd see a black spot.
Yeah.
We see nothing wrong there?
No, nothing.
No, okay. Well, then we're going to proceed to trim and chronicle Semi's way of going in the hopes that we will soon be able to show you no further favoring and that she is going to go back into regular training here at Minmore Farms.
Right now I'm just squeezing the heels, which we did when she first came up lame, and she's never really shown a reaction to the hoof testers. So we're just continuing to check, make sure nothing's getting worse.
Okay, so before he even trims, he's just hoof testing. He's never in the past found a reaction to it. He's doing it again today to see if there's any further tenderness there. This is her left front, the place where she had the problem.
I explained this to Sonia before, but obviously hoof testers are primitive. We're just putting on a lot of pressure, hoping the horse flinches if we hurt her.
Yes.
That doesn't mean they're guaranteed.
Okay.
Usually if they do flinch, you know there's something wrong.
Here are the hoof testers, and Lawrence has really good ones. You can get less expensive ones at your local tack shop. And now he's cutting off the front of the hoof for the trimming. If there's any suggestion of a abscess, we'll probably be able to see it, but Lawrence doesn't think there could be an abscess at this point in the history of this problem. It would have already broken through, come out the least point of resistance, which is very often at the hairline. I'm doing this chronicle for not only documentation of my own horse's health and problems, but for anybody else who may be having similar concerns with their horse. Sometimes that medicine and science doesn't give you a clear path to fix the problem. Now he's feeling for softness. I'm sure that if he notices anything, he'll look up at the camera and tell us. Lawrence, at one point we felt that there may be a deep frog there. We talked to you about it on email, and you said, well, it's just, maybe normal, the frog crevice, so to speak.
Right here?
Yeah, but let me show you what it was that we noticed, and it may have just been a figment of our imagination. No, it was right in here. That's what concerned us. We looked in there and we thought we saw something orange. Something orange, like we were looking at some kind of internal ligament or something like that.
Well, actually, if you see, other than the blood that's in there, everything else is white.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yet it didn't look like blood to us. This was Alexis and I. We did take a video, but it was so hard to see. We couldn't see it with the video, although we felt we both were seeing it with the naked eye. So you don't see anything?
No.
Okay.
And she didn't flinch when I was carving in there.
Okay.
It could be, and I've run into this, and it's kind of freaked me out too. Some of the hoof preparations, like the copper tops, and
Yes.
also that one I gave you guys, the copper sulfate.
Yes.
That stain stays in there a long time.
Oh.
I've gone back and trimmed horses and told people, "Oh, you've been doing pretty good. I see copper tox in here," and they said it's been months since they've used the
All
stuff.
right.
in
Now
it.
the left rear, we haven't seen any swelling. We haven't had any problems, but you never know when you see favoring in one foot if it may be caused by some kind of problem in another foot. Trimming off quite a bit, but nothing unusual, right, Lawrence?
No.
Nothing unusual.
And as far as bruising and laminitis and stuff, obviously it wouldn't happen on the hinds, but even on the front, this white line there,
Yes.
perfectly clean. No
White line is perfectly clean,
No extra vascular activity going on,
which is a good
usually
sign.
you see in laminitis.
My biggest concern is laminitis. I've had some very bad experiences with it, as have many horse people. And Lawrence and I are going to a laminitis conference here, a one-day conference, November 1 of this year. This is 2008. That's taking place in Monterey, although I believe Steinbeck is sponsoring it. We're going to try to get the the most scientific update on what is known and how laminitis is treated. And if there's anything that I think you as a horse owner or viewer of my Urban Cowgirl shows would like to know, I'll let you know after the conference. See, I'm watching very closely and document it very closely every leg, because a prior UC Davis conference I went to, speaking to some experts who were doing research on laminitis, used the word ipsilateral effect. Lawrence, do you know what that means? That if you have an effect on, let's say, the left front, that the malady may be in the right rear.
Yeah, I've always referred to it as sympathetic lameness.
Sympathetic lameness is what Lawrence refers to it. But it was hard to really describe to this particular researcher that I talked to at the conference at UC Davis. I was just talking to him in the hall at a break, and I described to him what I was experiencing, and he called it ipsilateral effect, and that he said it. My hypothesis at the time was totally possible, because at that time it was an ipsilateral sympathetic effect, I think.
And you're talking about when you thought she got kicked in the fanny?
Yes, when Sadie, yes, was actually kicked in the hip and showed lameness on the opposite front.
The real severe ones, I've only had to work on one of those where it was, Adobe, Chuck Kessinger, never truly referred to it as laminitis, although to me, working on it, that's how I treated it, that's how it responded. The horse had actually received a rope burn on one hind foot and favored the other hind foot so much it eventually crushed that foot from the inside out. And so basically I went up, and that was, as you were saying, it was white when I was trying to work on the opposite hind foot. I could tell that I was not seeing what I should have been seeing, the bottom of the hoof. Just cleaning the frog caused it bleeding.
Yes.
And there was no longer a plantar cushion, which is what should be in between the coffin bone, what we're seeing here.
By the way, concerning plantar cushion on Sadie, I did buy her cavallos, size 2. When we go anywhere where there's going to be a rocky trail, we put them on, but otherwise she's been doing a lot of trail riding on just, dirt and trail paths with deadfall on them and so forth, and she's doing just fine. Which, just give me your opinion when we start trimming her, whether you feel like she's toughening up at all with that plantar cushion. No problem seen there.
No problem.
We try to clean out our horses' hooves almost every day, so they're very used to having their hooves picked up and manipulated. Now Lawrence is hoof testing again. No problem there?
No.
No problem. Now the trim. I may be getting some cavallo size 3 for Semi. Unfortunately, though, if I do, Lawrence, and I only wanted to get a pair, which they come in a pair,
Right.
would I use them on the front foot, thinking that there's absolutely no reason to use them on the back foot?
Yes.
Yes, is the answer. And when we put the Easy Boot on that Lawrence lent us on Semi's left front, it didn't make a difference on her way of going, and it was a little bit difficult to take on and off to check under it every day. And the little metal protrusions on the back of the Easy Boot were digging into Semi's hooves, so we decided not to use it anymore.
Okay, now when Dr. Wallace did the nerve blocks, didn't she go sound on the second nerve block?
Yeah.
Yes. And so she said,
still put it in the hoof.
well, she said it was from the pass turn down.
Oh, it would have been the whole pass turned down?
Yes, that was what she said.
Well, this time I as you notice, I used my nippers to cut off her toe this way. Tried to stand her up a little bit more, because all I can imagine, since it's still slightly on that other front as well, obviously mostly close, is that maybe the tendons are just under such stress they're causing her soreness.
For what reason?
Her heel was too low.
Just too much toe out in front.
I see.
Although, you know, you look at what I cut off, it's not outrageous amount.
But I do see the difference in the two.
Well, that's because I use my nippers to chop it more flat toed.
Sure.
Like I was telling you in that email, if I was going to shoe her, I would probably use those natural balance shoes,
Yes.
which they use for like navicular horses. It squares their toe off. It doesn't make their toe round like it naturally is.
Uh-huh.
It actually, you bring it back to lamina and you square it off. And that's what I was thinking then, is making that break over much faster and getting the weight off her tendons sooner.
So if your trim today were to help her, when would we expect to see an improvement in a small tight
Within a
circle?
couple days, as long as you don't work her between now and then.
Okay.
Just let her do her walking around thing.
Okay.
And let her tendons loosen up, because it's an inflammation type of thing is what it would be.
Uh-huh.
The tendons would be making too sharp a turn and stressful on them. Then
Okay.
when she gets into a trot, then it really shows up.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because anything but a trot in a small circle, she's not showing any lameness.
Yeah.
She's living
Yeah,
her
she
normal life.
Walked over here fine.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to the other two horses, but I won't video it because there's no necessity for a chronicle at this time. Thank you, Lawrence, for helping us understand Semi.
Our cast of characters: Sadie and Eve, Semi, Rusty and Susie, www.thesocolos.com.